Hello and welcome to the Permaculture Herbalism segment of the Elder Tree podcast. I am your host, Tennille Christensen from Earth Mama, where I teach people how to thrive and get skilled for sustainability. As an educator, kitchen witch, and plant lover, I welcome you to tune in as I interview permaculturalists from around the world. We will learn holistic ways of integrating plants into our homes, gardens, and communities for healing. Together, we will explore the art and science of this regenerative design system and harvest the collective wisdom. Permaculture offers a pathway to empower people to develop their lifestyles and landscapes. So let's discover how to grow and know plants with a purpose.
And the medicine carries not only the chemistry, but the biological exchange that took place in the moment between you and the land. What a wonder medicine is. And so you see, the medicine is not the product, but an embodiment of the process.
That was Taj Scicluna, the Perma Pixie, joining me in this interview and giving us a sneaky peek insight into her upcoming book. Now, Taj is a professional permaculturalist and herbalist, so it's a really juicy interview exploring all aspects of those two worlds merging and a few other exciting topics in between. Taj's business is based on her deep poetic love of the Botanical Realm. She is an artist who fuses together her love of herbalism, foraging, writing, cooking, ecosystem and personal health, and education, all into a cohesive offering. So her business is a platform for creativity and a place to weave the romantic wonder of the botanical into something tangible to share with the world. At her core, Taj aims to support people as they bridge the gap between themselves and nature, to support the remembering that we belong to the botanical, that we are woven into the photosynthetic web, and that we are truly animal. She aims to collaborate in repairing the rupture we have created in our existence of being civilised, of using language to keep us separate. She believes that healing is done in this process of being in relationship with the botanical rather than treating it as a resource. Healing is within the process, not the product. To carry out this purpose, Taj lives a lifestyle dedicated to her values and educates via workshops, courses, and mentorships, with a wonderful Patreon and a one-on-one client consult service. We talk about her life as an artist and her most recent music video called Botaniarchy, and that creative process and her way of teaching us about herbs through this medium. We touch on neurodivergence, nature healing, and what it is to be a botanical revolutionary. From roses and boundaries to gardening as lifestyle medicine and thinking like ecology, she discusses so much in this beautiful interview, from her tiny home vision and community dispensary and her offerings of herbal apprenticeships coming up at Ceres. So without further ado, let's enter into this wonderful discussion. Taj, it's a real honour to have you join me today, all the way from Wurundjeri lands in Naarm of Melbourne. I'm in far north Queensland on Jabberkai land in the village in the rainforest of Kuranda, and excited to dive into our interview today. You really have a great way of educating and sharing your perspective on how medicine is so much more than just the plant themselves. And so I just wanted to kind of start with the fact that you're a botanical educator, a grassroots and bioregional herbalist, writer, forager, or seeker, and animist. So, can you speak a little bit to that and how it is that you became and emerged all of those aspects of yourself together on your path?
Yeah, sure. It's been obviously a lifelong journey. I guess that I'll start by saying that I was always quite fascinated by the vegetative world, and I think it's because it's a place that I, as a child, felt safe. It was a place that was consistent, even in its flux. And I found something in it that I could rely on, because my nervous system felt calm there. And that's not, I didn't realize what that was at the time. However, I know now that my nervous system was regulated in green spaces. So I would seek them out, which was actually quite hard for me. I grew up in suburbia with a feeling that something was innately wrong and I didn't know what it was. And I felt extremely restless as a child and a teenager because I wanted to find what my purpose was, to be honest, and would ask quite deep questions about why am I here and what's this all about. And after I finished high school, I went to start studying naturopathy, but was really dismayed because it was all brown bottles and we never got to touch the plants, or even see them growing, really. And I just thought this isn't the herbalist I want to be. It was so far removed from those green spaces that I loved. So then I went and found permaculture and started that. And throughout my journey, it's been really interesting to see how I can merge all these things that I love all together, because I love relationship. I love things in relationship to one another. And that fascinates me. The Where things meet fascinates me. So that's the permaculture kind of aspect. But then I've always been into creativity, and I do that with my food, and I do that even in my business with my photographs and my flyers and things like that. So I put a lot of my artistic expression into what I do, even with herbalism and my business. And then writing is a huge aspect for me as well. I've always been a writer as a cathartic kind of means, and now I'm writing a book. It's been a lifelong dream of mine to write a book. And so I guess that I've just kind of found this way of fusing all of these things together into something that is hopefully cohesive to others, but just makes me feel alive. And that's what the awe seeking is really about. Like, I'm always seeking the awe in the world because I just feel like it's really everywhere if we're open to it.
For sure. And it's really pulling in that integration rather than segregation principle of permaculture, of, bringing our whole selves into our offerings so that, we've got that, I guess, quality of life. We're not leaving parts of ourselves behind to fit into the system of what work is, or something else. I think on your website, I read this really beautiful, you can see on your website and the way that you write, there's a lot of poetry to it. And I just want to direct anyone to check it out because there's that awesome video you have at the bottom of your homepage, creatively called Botanicky, the merging of botanicals and anarchy. So please share how this creative expression came along.
So it's really funny because it kind of showcases a part of my personality that perhaps some people that are interested in my work don't see a lot of, because I guess that there's, to be honest, even a certain type of stigma even in Australia, that goes along with being a herbal clinician. It's really this kind of whitewashed, like linen pressed idea of being a herbalist or clinician. And there's a lot of, in Australia anyway, there's a lot of kind of professionalism that goes with that. It's not necessarily that I of course I want to be professional, but I think that people don't see fun as being professional. And I have a problem with that, a real problem with it. And there's parts of my personality that are really, I grew up as a little bit of a punk and listened to a lot of feminist riot girl music and was really angry in a lot of ways, to be honest, about the world. And there's a certain kind of grimy part of my personality. And anyway, I've always I love hip hop and I love rap. I love it because of the poetry, the wordsmithing, the feeling, everything about it like really, really gets me. And so I combined my love of plants and foraging and the way that I feel about the world into a rap video. And it was just one of my artistic goals in life to make a hilarious parody of a rap video all about plants.
You nailed it. It's so fantastic. Thank you. And the education aspect of it. I learnt so much
Yeah,
about the plants in it, and just you in the covered in soil and in the sheds, and it's really well done. Congratulations.
thank you. It was yeah, I was really proud of it and it was something that a big achievement for me because it was just so much fun and I would love to do more like that. But yeah, making things educational but at the same time fun and learning to take take issues seriously but not ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. And you've got on your page around your services that you've written, "I do not offer services. I offer a lifestyle. I do not work. I create. I am not a regular herbal clinician. I am a botanical revolutionary." So amazing. How did you like? Why be a botanical revolutionary? Why is this important?
Well, it's important to me, and like, when I'm saying that, it's like very I orientated. I am, and I'm aware of that. And it's not that I am and you are not, or anyone else is not. It's like I want to co-create this botanical revolution, and I feel like a co-creator with community as well. So it's not just about me. However, I guess that's the way that I see myself, and it's because I just I feel like I'm an artist, and I really felt that with when I was in my bachelor degree. I remember sitting there one day and being like, hang on a minute, why do I feel so different to all these people? Why am I always asking questions? Why am I not okay with a topic that someone gives me to, and it's the same topic that everyone else is studying? Why am I not okay with regurgitating things? I and it's because I want to innovate them. And I realized, that's because I'm an artist. Okay. And so then I tried to think a little bit about that
Mm-hmm.
with my work, and not seeing it as work, but seeing it as art and seeing it as creation. And the whole thing about being a botanical revolutionary is that I feel that with what I do, I'm reclaiming a lost art, and it's only been lost in the last few
Mm.
hundred years. Like it's in our bones. We remember it. We don't lose that in a few hundred years. And so I want to be a part of the process of remembering this with others. And that's how I see the kind of botanical revolution. It's about remembering and reconnecting, and I do feel like a lot of the issues, the environmental issues that we face, would actually, um, yeah, be bettered from that kind of process. Because if we saw ourselves as being in connection with the natural world and a part of it, then there's no way that there would be so much destruction.
Yeah. And I feel when you spoke about the professionalism and that sort of picture of the clinician, and what professionalism looks like, from my perspective, I wouldn't trust a herbalist that doesn't have dirt under their fingers because it's
Yeah.
like under their nails. It's that the the medicine that one carries from working with the plants through its cycle, and then the ability to read the landscape and having that connection with all of the elements, to then read and support and see the whole of a person and provide medicine that comes from your love and tenderness, not from a bottle that comes from wherever. I think that's only going to make somebody more powerful, or more, I don't know if the word's powerful, but more adaptive and receptive, and a better able to support the person when you know how to support the plants. And I'm not sure if there's anyone else around doing what you're doing in terms of doing consulting and working with a person, educating them on their health and helping them actually grow the plants and become, to be skilled in growing plants for their health, how you tie those two things in together. Is that something like that you've innovated, or did you learn that from any of your teachers?
I didn't learn that from any of my teachers necessarily, especially in Australia. I guess I've studied with a lot of people in America and the UK. I'm literally always doing courses because I'm obsessed with learning things. So for me, I guess it's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. So I feel like a lot of clinicians will have a lot of knowledge, but what you learn from the natural world and the plants, it's a wisdom. It's like, because there's a philosophy in it, there's a poetry, you start to understand things about people because you look at plants and you start to see the self similarity between them, and it's phenomenal. And in saying that, look, I'm not saying that clinicians aren't wise, and I'm really not trying to dismiss the integrity that some herbalists may have that don't have dirt under their fingernails because it might not be their way, and that's fine. But it's just not my way, and my way is being able to see what the plants or hear what the plants are telling me, even about a person. So when, like, for example, I had a client recently, and I just was like, this client needs rose in their mix, and I was putting rose in their mix, and then even sometimes I don't exactly even know why at the time. I was like, do they just need this? And last year I was studying rose um, quite a lot. And then in their session, when I was giving them their medicine, they started talking about boundaries a lot and how much they needed to work on boundaries. And I was like, oh, well, Rose is boundary medicine. She protects the wild rose with her thorns. Makes so much sense now. And so that's a little bit of the difference. I'm still looking up mechanisms of action. I still love learning about phytochemistry, but what I learn being with the plants is quite amazing. I don't think you can get that from a book. And yeah, it is my dream to really working with people to assist them to learn about the plants themselves and how to grow it. I always want to empower my clients to grow their medicine and make it and have relationships with it. For some people that can be overwhelming, so I try and meet them where they are. But yeah, it's really my dream to give that kind of empowerment, because if you think about lifestyle as medicine, gardening gardening gets you sunlight. It makes you move. You're not sedentary.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting vitamin D. You're getting the microbes in the soil. There's all of these flow-on effects from gardening that actually is lifestyle medicine, as well as then getting the medicine at the end from the plant.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of segues into, the permaculture side of things. So the design and the land and nature stewardship, and, the practical side of growing herbs and medicinal plants from that perspective. So, could you share why permaculture is an important aspect of your life?
Yes, yeah, I can. It's quite massive. And like over the years, I guess I've moved away from teaching as much permaculture. There are also certain problems that I see with it, but that's with everything. And I think that that's because people saw permaculture as an answer rather than a continuous collaboration to find answers. So, permaculture for me influences my whole life because it's a way of thinking like ecology. Again, it's not a linear thinking process. It's based on systems thinking and systems theory. And once you start to exercise that, your mind becomes different. You start to
Mm-hmm.
connect certain dots in multiple functions rather than just A plus B equals C. So I use it a lot of the time with my even my business planning and things like that. It's helped my neurodivergence massively, but also even on a practical level, I feel like permaculture for me was relearning common sense and learning to read landscapes, learning to understand the way that buildings function and air currents function and energy functions and things like this, so that I can, I guess, live a more functional, efficient lifestyle, at the same time as remembering to not be just reduced to everything being for functionality, because I think that that's really important. Oh, it's definitely assisted my obviously my plant practice. So I've designed lots of gardens for people and have been doing practicing permaculture design for a long time. But now I use it for my medicine gardens, and to understand the plants and their needs in the landscape as well. So I guess that's more of yeah, the plant side of things. But a lot of people don't realize that permaculture goes much beyond the garden.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I dove into sort of the domains of permaculture in my first episode just so people could see the breadth of it. And yeah, the thinking, it's like a daily decision and lifestyle. It's each time we're given an opportunity to make a decision, and create, we can draw on those principles that are based in ecology and whole systems thinking to make appropriate decisions. Well, thank you for sharing that. And like, what have you got growing in your garden right now? Because it's, your medicinal garden is, I believe, part of your dispensary.
Well, that's the dream. It is, and my dream is to make it grow. Obviously, my garden at the moment is in its infancy because I only moved to the
Mm-hmm.
property that I'm on last June, and so it has been a process of building soil and making garden beds and all of that kind of thing, and then planting the plants. So, um, I am lucky enough now to work at a clinic that really understands me and the way that I work, and they are also really on board with harvesting their own plants and going and we sometimes get other plant material in, but we try not to. We always try and grow it or harvest it ourselves. So at the moment in my garden, what do I have? A lot of things are starting to look a little bit sleepy. They're getting ready for the winter, but I have oats, as I always have oats. It's one of my favorite plants. Oats, red clover, evening primrose, calendula, skullcap, burdock, chamomile, vitex, calamus, sage, thyme, oregano, rosemary, L-campaign, goldenrod, blue vervain, coltsfoot, and rosella, ashwagandha, maybe some other things that I have forgotten.
Wow, that's epic. If that's the infancy of your garden, I'm very excited to see where it goes from there. Um, Yeah, and you've already created 3 functional medicinal gardens in the past, haven't you? So this is, you just continue to move on to the next project and next garden.
Yeah, and I've learned a lot along the way. So hopefully, yeah, this will show in the garden that I'm creating at the moment. But yeah, I have made quite a few gardens in the past, which has actually sometimes been heartbreaking, to be honest, because I had to leave
Mm,
one of my gardens that I was tending for 3 years, which was big love affair between me and that garden, and I learnt a lot. And it's not only a relationship with the plants, it's a relationship with those specific plants, and it's a relationship with the ecology that you co-create. So the all of the different kind of bugs, the different lizards, and it's just like, it's not just lizard, it's that lizard. It's not just bird, it's that
mm,
bird, and you've got a relationship with
mhm.
all of those different things for a period of time. And then I guess for anyone that's understood renting and things like that, to leave a garden can be a really uprooting experience and destabilizing experience, and is a real kind of grief stricken process as well. So I feel like I'm only on my feet again with creating a garden, um, because it kind of wounded me for a while, and to, if I'm honest, even put me off gardening for a few years while I kind of tended my wounded soul and could, um, yeah, start tending to land again.
Yeah, I can totally relate. They become our friends, and yeah, we have to. It's a letting go and restarting again. It can be really difficult. Yeah. So thank you for sharing all of that, and you've really covered a lot on how you already, you integrate plants, specifically from this herbalism perspective of your life so far. Um, can you extrapolate any further on how you do that within the community? Because you're a very community minded person.
Yes, I am a very community minded person. I'm always thinking about how we can, um, move more, especially in Australia. Australia is quite hard because we don't have the subculture here, like the numbers, the population. And we can, us herbalists and, plant revolutionaries and, plant lovers can be quite spread out as well. So in the past, I've given a lot to community projects, and at the moment, I've been trying to think of how to co-create herbal communities and communities dispensaries. And my dream is actually to be work alongside with people, with other herbalists, and have a free clinic at least, once a month, set up a free clinic somewhere for people to be a part of that, people that are disadvantaged or can't afford herbal healthcare. And I've even thought about doing certain kind of courses and apprenticeships where people actually pay it forward a little bit. So they're paying for the facilitation, and also they get to take home medicines. But part of their payment, they understand, goes to making batch medicines, and those batch medicines would then go into the free clinic for people that couldn't afford it. Now, at the moment, these are just ideas, and to be honest, I made a little bit of a dedication to myself this year. And I said to myself, okay, Taj, maybe for the next 2 years, I'm not actually going to do as many community orientated projects. I'm actually going to be working as a clinician and try and build my own foundation so that I can be stable enough to then give back to my community, because I think I've reached burnout quite a few times in my life, and have come to the understanding that it's okay to want to build my own foundation, especially if I want to have a family, or if there's certain, I want to build a house and things like that. So I think that some of these ideas at the moment are in their infancy stages, so that in a few years, hopefully I can team up with groups of people and we can collaborate.
Yeah, that's so necessary. And yeah, that's what the elder tree is doing. So hopefully we can have you perhaps entice you to come up and be part of that at some time if it feels good for you. But that's the intention for our community up here, is to have that physical space and education center and dispensary connection with growing the plants in the garden. And I think all of your sharings there I can relate to as well, that the burnout I've done multiple times too, when there's so much so much to do and so much goodness and so much to be passionate about and so many opportunities. But it kind of, with permaculture, I learnt even with the social and the zoning of, ourselves as zone 00, and making sure that we're obtaining a yield within ourselves and taking care of ourselves and slow and small solutions and all of these things, so that we, the steps that we take outwards into our families and then our communities and our bioregions and beyond, it comes from a place of sustainability, and we can keep up that energy, and that balance is there.
Very much so.
And it's
Yeah. And my garden is like going
yeah.
to be open for, volunteer days and things like that as well. So it's not that I'm not going to do anything kind of community orientated, but I do need to be just mindful of my time and energy in these next few years, especially as I focus on building my own house as well. So yeah. So me and my partner, it's been a process. I sometimes even get scared to talk about it, to be honest, because I'm like, oh my God, if it doesn't happen, then, I'll feel like a failure, blah. But um, we've got a small timber yard, basically. We're both really passionate about reclaiming timber. We love timber, and we also like, I can't actually believe that I'm living in a time of peak timber. And people talk about peak oil, people talk about peak soil, peak food, but it's actually peak timber too. And it's really sad. It's really sad because so many timbers are now quite rare. A lot of buildings are being made with steel and concrete prefab instead of timbers because it's in such shortage and becoming so expensive. And a lot of old buildings, are actually getting demolished for development. And the old timbers that are like a lot of the time hardwoods and old growth and Oregon, beautiful things, are just going in skips. And so me and my partner have been going and even demolishing houses ourselves and taking the timber, and we're doing it pretty much like all very from scratch. So it's been a huge process. We're not even at the building stage yet. We're building a workshop to then build the tiny houses, and it's going to be like my little tiny house, a pocket 3 kind of sanctuary, and it's something that I've always wanted, and having a whimsical artisan space to be in and work in.
Oh, that sounds so dreamy and like so much fun. I
Yeah.
can just see, yeah, what a beautiful space. Yeah, we could be absorbing carbon from the atmosphere and growing more forests to deal with that peak timber issue. Yeah, it's such an interesting one. But tiny homes, there's a pattern in that as well within the permaculture sort of movement, is a lot of
Mm.
people moving or tending to want to step away from these big massive homes with mega mortgages and into something where time can be and love can be put into the space of that is our home, without all of the even the toxicity that's in homes these days because of the materials they're built out of. So yeah, well, thanks again for for doing, taking the slow path of reclaiming these things that would just otherwise probably be chucked at a waste site and putting it to use. with such patience.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm crazy, but I definitely hope that it pays off.
Yeah, it will. That's been our journey. We milled some timber on our property and built our home with it. And hired a Lucas saw, and and then planted more
Mm,
trees, and we too have, we have a family of four, and we live in a tiny. It's not a tiny home; it can't be moved, but it's a small space with half outside living and half inside living, and it's enough, like we were just having a conversation with a friend the other day, and it's really like, why are people wanting so much more? It's like, can we be content and grateful with what we have, and and look at designing for that lower impact and all of the resources that are not actually there.
well, I just think it also comes from being part of such a goal-orientated society as well. So we often just are constantly thinking about where we can go, which often is about like what we can consume to get to a certain place. And it's really insipid, even in like the permaculture movement and stuff like that. It's people don't want it to be there, but our minds kind of need reshaping in a way. And one of the ways that I try and just be mindful of this is I constantly kind of ask myself the question of like, am I happy like right now? My brother asked me the other day, well, where do you want to be in like, X amount of years or like a few years' time? What would you be wanting to do? And to be honest, it was nearly the same as what I'm doing like now. I'm like, wow, I'm pretty happy. Yeah, I'd like my own tiny house and things like this. But just trying to remember, what do I have now? And where have I been and come from in order to get here? And I think that that reflective kind of phase is forgotten about a lot in our culture. So it's really nice to practice that.
Yeah, really important. All of the context of quality of life and gratitudes, and yeah, that check-in of, where am I at? Am I on path? Am I aligned? How do I need to pivot? But do I need more? And that's what I love about permaculture, is that, it's a way of being a producer, not just a consumer. There's balance in that, but we're looking to sort of regenerate and leave things and create, produce resources rather than just be on the consuming end. Yeah, but Taj, I'm really keen to understand more about oats. So that's not something that we traditionally grow up here in the tropics, but I know we've got listeners from all around Australia and the world. So, in terms of your favorite plant and why, I know it's really hard, especially for a herbalist, to say which one, but could you speak to that?
Yeah, as a herbalist and plant lover, I feel like I've got a couple of like deep favorite plants or like deep plant allies that are unchanging, and then I have plants of the moment that I will be delving into or having a relationship with. My two like all-time plant friends are oats and nettle. And it's one of the things that makes me a little bit dubious about moving somewhere that's a little bit more tropical, because I love these plants dearly and they're temperate plants. So oats, Avena sativa, Avena actually means agricultural. So yes, they're the oats that we eat, but there is wild oats that are a slightly different variety than the cultivated oats because they're not as plump. Because the agricultural oats have obviously been bred to be plumper and fatter seeds for our kind of porridge and things like that. However, the stems of the plant, the oat straw, which is called oat straw because it is like a straw, it's hollow in the center. The oat straw is utilized for medicine, the seeds are utilized as medicine, and also the milky oats. So the milky oats are just before the seed it kind of completely hardens. It's when the seed is very ripe and you can push them, and this white kind of latexy substance comes out. And this is one of the most, I guess, I don't like the term potent very much, but this is a really important nervine tropho restorative medicine, which means that it restores functioning, optimal functioning to the nervous system. I love this plant so much because it's gentle. Most people can have it, even pregnant women. It is it's something that I don't believe in, like cookie cutter herbs for everyone, or like, everyone will go on this like adaptogen rant and then all of a sudden everyone needs ashwagandha and stuff like that. And I like plants to be specific to people. However, I don't think that much damage can be done by people having oats as medicine. It restores minerals to the body, calcium. It's really amazing for perimenopausal women because of the calcium in the oats. It increases energy through a number of different ways, but it's also, increases libido. That's where the term sow your wild oats comes from. Um, Nourishes and lubricates because it is a moistening plant, deeply moistening for the body, which also assists the gut because of its demulcent qualities. Um, it's a really amazing nutritive because it contains so many minerals, and it's a plant that I like to work with mainly in the winter. I don't exactly know why, but I feel its effects mainly by consuming it in the winter to kind of refortify a nervous system that is usually been burnt out by a long and active summer.
And how do you um, ingest or work with it? Are you like cooking the oats, or are you making a preparation in some particular way?
I love using medicines in a variety of ways. So I don't
Mm.
just like, even though I give liquid extracts to um a lot of clients, or tinctures that I've like made myself, I like using plants in a variety of ways. So with the milky oats, yes, I will usually make them into a slightly fermented tincture, and consume this. I just put this in my water and I sip it throughout the day because it's quite sweet because of the polysaccharides in it. So I'll make that. The oat straw I really love to have in water and a bit of milk. And I'll simmer this lightly on the stove till the milk kind of goes this golden hay color from the dried oat straw. And then I like to have this usually at night as a kind of wind down, nervine, relaxant medicine. And then there's also the food things that you can do with oats as well.
Yummy. Yay. I feel
Mm.
inspired to try some oats. It's not actually a medicine I've worked with, so thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
A lovely combination is actually oats, oat straw, rose petals, and cinnamon
With
at night
milk warmed.
with milk.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. I could, yeah, winter and warming. That really goes, yeah, for the seasonal cool. Yummy. Thank you. Hey, before we close off today, I've appreciated so much of what you shared today, but I would really love to know what's alive and thriving in your life right now.
Well, some of it is my work, being face to face as a clinician. I'm super inspired to be working with humans and in that kind of way, and assisting them with different issues and delving into specific formulas for people. So that is incredibly inspiring for me and enlivening for me. Um, Another one is I'm studying with Jim McDonald at the moment online, who is a herbalist from the States. So I'm really excited to be kind of basically informing my practice with more traditional herbal methods and to make things more accessible to clients. Another thing that is really alive for me at the moment is I'm about to be facilitating a course at Series in NAM in Melbourne, and that's an 8-week course called the Herbal Apprentice. So it's a grassroots course all about foundational herbalism, medicinal gardening, and basic medicine making to give people a well-rounded idea of herbalism and how to actually apply it with their hands at home. On a more personal level, I guess, one of the things that's really thriving for me is my relationship right now, which is, for me, a really beautiful place to rest in. Been living with my partner now for over 6 months, and everything seems to be going well, and it's a really kind of nourishing, fun space to come home to all the time. So that makes me feel really happy.
Yay. Beautiful. Well, thank you. Is there anything else that you wanted our listeners to know about in terms of your perspective on permaculture and herbalism, or perhaps ways that they could connect with you for consultations, or perhaps your
Hmm.
Patreon?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I thought that I might share an excerpt that I'm writing in my book from my book.
Wow.
Then I can tell people a little bit about how to find me.
Yes, great.
So, one of my biggest dreams ever is to write a book. If you would like to see and read that book and you want to see that materialized in the world, then one of the best ways to support me is actually through my Patreon, because my Patreon actually will fund me to write. Otherwise, I actually don't have the time to write because I need to be I need to be doing other things for work, basically. And so if I have more of that time to really rest and know that I'm supported, then it means that I can launch this book into the world. And this book is all about herbalism, but it's more of it's got practical things, practical information, recipes, but it's about living in seasonal relationship with plants, and it comes with a lot of the philosophy behind herbalism or how I feel about it. So I thought I might share with you this small excerpt. When making medicines and interacting with bioregional plants, you're preserving the ephemeral nature of time and space. Through harnessing the components of the landscape and the season, harvesting, drying, and brewing, the medicine simmers that sphere of ecological occasion into a verdant elixir that transcends time. All of the scents, the colors, the compounds that existed in that window where you were embedded in the landscape interacting with those particular trees, those plants, animals under that particular sky now have a place in your kitchen. And the medicine carries not only the chemistry, but the biological exchange that took place in the moment between you and the land. What a wonder medicine is. And so you see, the medicine is not the product, but an embodiment of the process.
Mm, yeah. Well, you have such a deep insight, and the healing, the understanding of herbal medicine, the passion and the poetry there, with the tie-in of nature and that relationship and connection and permaculture. It's such a really unique and special understanding, and I really look forward to reading your book. So please help everybody so we can hold it in our hands sooner than later.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the best way to support me usually is I've got a Patreon, and I make videos and medicines and give out recipes to my Patreons. So you can find that on my website. The Herbal Apprentice is a face-to-face course, also doing online courses. So I have an online foraging course. A lot of people are like, online foraging, how does that work? But it's mainly about patterns and identification, and you get exercises to work within your bioregion as well. So there's that. I have a few small online offerings. I'm just about to do herbalism for the darker months, preparing the body for the winter with herbs. And as far as consults go as well, I'm working face to face in Daylesford, and I also offer online telehealth consultations as well.
So many very helpful offerings there. And I believe you specialize in herbalism practices for people who are neurodivergent and suffer with anxiety. Is that something that that you're passionate about, or how did you get into that sort of specialty?
I'm really obsessed with the nervous system. I love working with the nervous system, and I also, being a clinician and seeing, even in my studies and then through my work, seeing how many people's issues stem from nervous system dysregulation really made me, and also the gut, made me focus a lot on that area. I'm also neurodivergent, so I actually, obviously, I'm biased, but I have a passion for that and assisting with people with that, so that to overcome kind of those feelings of overwhelm, those feelings of self doubt, those feelings of just feeling flooded in the world, emotional dysregulation, feeling unable to focus on, one task, while still really honoring people for who they are and the gifts that they bring at the same time. So, not trying to make people just like everyone else through herbalism, but trying to utilize the herbs to bring people more in balance with themselves.
Well, thank you for for that. Something people can lean into if they have and experience these kind of challenges in life, and to be accepted and supported in that space. Call out to Taj. I just want to say thank you. It's been such a beautiful hour listening into your wisdom and your perspectives. You're probably the first person I've interviewed that really has that grounded permaculture and herbalism professional experience. So thank you for that wealth of knowledge, and for showing up and providing all of these sort of links and information to our listeners. Is there anything else you wanted to share before we say goodbye today, Taj?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to you also for all of the work that you're doing, all of the community-based work, and kind of basically co-creating this community herbalism in Australia. It's really necessary, and I'm really happy to be part of it with you.
Yeah, thanks for the support. The Elder Tree is a not-for-profit organisation that is in the beginning stages of creating a grassroots herbal education centre and healing sanctuary in the Atherton Tablelands of Far North Queensland. To find out more, go to theeldertree.org and follow the journey on Instagram and Facebook. You can also donate to the Elder Tree via our podcast channel on Anchor or via the website. If you like the episode, we'd love you to subscribe. And if you know who we should interview next, drop us a line. See you next month, and in the meantime, may you grow them to know them and be blessed with good health and many plants.